One of our culture points here at Tax Per Marketer that we state internally is that we lean into encouragement, recognition, and trust. Encouragement, recognition, and trust. So we recognize people when they've accomplished something, even when they've just gotten some great work done for the day. We tell them at the end of the day, hey, great work today. If they finish up something that we know was a project they've been working on for a while, we recognize it to one another in the company. We recognize it to them. We praise them for a job well done. When a job is well done, we encourage one another. These seem like basic things, but I find that especially in the context of business, but really just in life, praise actually is something that people tend to have a hard time with, and we tend to not practice praising other people in a natural, automatic, default way. This is something that often doesn't come naturally to us. Even as a manager, I think, of people, it can be easy to neglect this. And I think there's different reasons for that. I think it's a cultural thing for whatever reason. I think sometimes we can be threatened by others and reluctant to praise them for something. I think sometimes we're not happy with the last thing that they produce, and so we feel like we can't praise them on this good thing that they just produced. Or maybe they messed that thing up last time, and so we don't necessarily want to praise them this time. We want to let them really show that they're getting it down and have them do it a few times before we praise them, and then we wind up not praising them eventually anyways, even on that. I think sometimes we can think that it's better to starve people for affirmation so that they have to earn it and they have to really do a good job before they'll really get it, and maybe it's motivating to them if they don't receive praise along the way for the little victories here and there and the big ones. And I would just suggest that that's all really unhealthy and actually untrue and actually counterproductive. That actually praise does fuel people, and getting recognition along the way actually gives them gas to run on, gives them fuel to run on. And around here, I encourage everyone to give something like a ratio of 5-to-1 praise to constructive feedback. And that's something I shoot for myself. It's something I think a lot of us here at Tax Per Marketer shoot for in our interactions with one another. And part of where that comes from is that it's been my experience that when you establish a bedrock with someone of praise, encouragement, affirmation, recognition, when they see that you actually value their work product and they begin to trust and understand that you actually see and acknowledge and appreciate their work product and who they are as a professional, that you respect their professionalism, you respect their capability to do their job, and you trust them and you see what they're doing. When they sense that from you and they know that you already have this foundation of trust and appreciation and respect for them and who they are as a professional and how they approach their job and the work that they produce, when they sense that that's there, you can bring that constructive feedback when it's necessary, when it's needed. And sometimes it always, at some point, will be for all of us, right? We all fail at times in our work. There's gonna be mistakes that will be made by a person every now and then. There's gonna be things that you need to adjust. Just you have a preference for it to be done this way and not that way, right? And maybe they didn't even do anything wrong. It's just you'd rather it be done this way, or you'd just like to see it go in a different direction. Sometimes that sort of feedback can be hard to receive. But if someone knows that you already respect them as a professional and the work that they do, you can bring a little point of feedback here and there, and they know that's coming from a person who already respects their work product and respects them as a professional. They don't feel like that's under threat. Conversely, when it's more 1 to 5, when they get one piece of affirmation, recognition, encouragement, praise for every 5 pieces of constructive criticism, it creates this feeling that you don't trust them, that they're not doing a good enough job. It creates fear and tension, and it creates stress. And that actually leads to more mistakes because they're working under stress. And it actually produces conditions in which people aren't going to be able to do their best work. They're not going to take a sense of ownership. They're not going to take a sense of pride in their work. They're just going to feel like it's always under threat, always under fire. And you actually want to avoid this, and you can't avoid this by just working that praise muscle. and it actually takes intentionality. For most of us, it takes some intentionality of reminding yourself, hey, she did a good job on that. Actually tell her so, Hey, he finished that project. Just recognize it. Give him a pat on the back verbally or however. And you can start to actually change your patterns with this. If you're accustomed to only really responding to things when you see that there's a mistake that needs to be corrected, if you start to shift this and start to really shoot for 5-to-1 praise to feedback, and just bring that quick praise, quick feedback, it makes it all less dramatic, it doesn't let it build up, and it establishes this bedrock of, I see that you're doing great work, oh hey, could you adjust this little thing, keep going, and people really have something to run on when you give them that.